past week was such a great week, which I'm still calling this week. But everybody's asking a lot of questions, and you couldn't have a greater week than this past week to show everybody, your friends and family, what's been taking place. I did see a question come in that said, people, what do you do about people who still watch the news and things like that? I mean, there's not much else you can do to some of those outside of just, for your sake, love on them. For my sake, you want to just do that to them, but you can't shape people into listening, and that's the unfortunate thing is you just can't make people listen. But it's kind of like welcome to the club. I mean, this was happening to me in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, but more specifically 2018, 2019, and that era, trying to show people. But I mean, I remember being on dates when I was in college and asking, when you're sitting there making conversation and you talk about the Constitution, you talk about our history, you talk about just our foundation. I mean, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know every little thing, but you need to know something about something. But we're so far removed from our foundation. We're so far removed from that naturally there's going to be a lot of different opinions out there. No doubt, there's going to always be a different opinion when it comes to those kind of things. But once again, President Trump tells you all the time that we have to give and take in a few spots, right? We have to give and take because not everybody's going to think the way we think. But at the end of the day, those of us that claim to be patriots, conservatives, things of that nature, we love people more than anything. Now everybody has their down days, everybody has their difficult moments, everybody has their days where we either are all having a day or each individual's having a day. So you can't save everybody is what I tell people is at the end of the day. I mean, look at the people. I heard someone the other day joking about, how could anybody hate with the true definition of the word hate, people like us who are trying to help people. When everybody bonds together, when everybody pulls together and does understand how this affects each and every one of us, then it'll all make sense. When we all band together and we all stand up together, it's the same as football teams or sports or whatever things are out there where you all come together, you band as one, and you stand as one, you have one heartbeat. You just gotta, if someone's getting on your nerves or they're just not getting it, you don't need to lose your cool or get frustrated or things of that nature. Now, it is, I think, probably what put me here on the map. It's what made it go viral way back. But at the same time, I lost my cool in a different manner. I lost mine in a generic manner, just saying, hey, Americans, come on, at some point, if you're going to complain about this, that's the biggest thing that frustrates me. It frustrates me for me, and it frustrates me for you as well, is when people say stuff like, whenever they're, let me think an example, for example, I had one this past week going, well, I'll start listening to Derek when I see things enforced. I mean, well, depends on what you're looking at. Things are being enforced daily. Every single day, there's so much happening in a day that some of us can't even stay on top of it, that do stay on top of it. Today, I had to take a dirt road ride. I just had to get out on the dirt road and ride. Middle of nowhere, took the dog for a ride. I just had to go because there's so much stuff that you could post, and I would never have a life if I posted everything. But then you got all the ones out there that they're I gotta beat so and so. Let me get this out here. That's also hurting everything that's taking place. We have so many people who want to tote the news and be the news that they're forgetting what this is all about. There are people suffering. There are people in places, but once again, if if people would just take a step back and acknowledge this one little thing, if you'd acknowledge that everything that you benefit from right now, everything you benefit from, everything that does put food on your table, everything that puts in your vehicle, everything that you've been able to maybe even through your lifetime just get a little extra of, maybe you're someone who has an extra house somewhere. Maybe you have a bonus house. Maybe you have a bonus car. Maybe you have a bonus somewhere in your life. Take all those. Take all your wins. Then look at the stuff that in your lifetime. Look at the other negatives, or the negatives rather, not the other negatives, but look at the negatives. Look at everything that we have lived through. Every one of us, if you're sitting right here, there's no other alternative. If you're sitting here watching, there's no other alternative. You're right here. You've lived through life. You've got right here for a reason. All right, but look at the stuff that people say that Congress put on us. Congress didn't put nothing on us. We put that on us. Every American needs to go back to the basics. And it's before the Constitution. It's the Declaration of Independence. There has been revolutions before 1776. There was a 1688 revolution. So there's always been a fight for freedom. All right, so there's always been a fight for liberties and things of that nature. It depended on what was going on at that time period. So you got to go back to the basic. Look at the Declaration of Independence. They wrote it in a present tense, but always in a forward tense. They said it is their right and it is their duty. They went ahead and put an extra there in there. They didn't just say it is their right and duty. They said it is their right and it is their duty to overthrow any government that goes against its foundation. So when people say that, let's just back up. Let's just start slower first. If you're whining, complaining, griping, moaning, fussing, cussing, if you're stressed out, you have anxiety, you are someone who wants to debate people all the time, or argumentative, but not a true debate, but argumentative, all right? And you know nothing about the foundation, you know nothing about the three branches of government, you know nothing about Congress, you know nothing about bills, you know nothing about laws and orders, then you're wasting your breath. You're just wasting your breath. And somebody had to be the big bad guy. Now, I've learned a lot through this process. I've learned a lot via different people. I've met all kinds of people all over the world, all kinds of different walks, all different kinds of backgrounds, all different kinds of diversity, nationality, etc., spiritualities. I've met all kinds of people. And there's a way to live and let live, but also have our freedoms. All right? And you got to categorize that. And we need to tackle the bigger things first, because the bigger things are what alienated everybody. The bigger things, the corporation and the deep state and the globalists, the elitists, the fascists, the socialists, all those people, all of these big people up here, even though we let it get out of hand and it festered to that point, it needed to happen. It needed to get this bad. That way people would wake up. And then you can realize what your rights are. As a human first, human rights, and then what your rights are in the system of which we establish. So every time someone's complaining, mad, angry, bitter, sad, frustrated, that's when you say, did you vote? Did you vote? All right, and then you ask them to name the three branches of government. Because if they can't, then that's your education moment. Then you can go, well, I don't know why you're complaining, griping, fussing, moaning, all those things if you don't even know the core systematic functions of the very thing you claim to be griping about. I mean, that's the problem where most Americans are. And just like the comment that was on a post earlier, how do you get people to stop watching the news? That's why there's two different things playing out right now. Donald John Trump is still your legal, lawful, I like to use the word lawful, it's better, lawful president, wartime president, though, by definition, which, because of the wartime president orders, it would be, he'd be acting more as commander-in-chief. That's why I call him Commander-in-Chief Trump. All right. So that right there in itself, those entities, it's self-explanatory when you know it, right? So all these other people over here that are complaining, griping, fussing, watching the news, he has to talk to them in the way of where they are. And we have data, which, give or take, whatever, it doesn't matter, but right around 68 to 75% of Americans can't even name the three branches of government. Just name them. Don't even tell what they do. Just name the three, right? Now, there's a lot more who probably know it now after I've been saying this for almost a year and a half. But there's a lot of people that have no clue. Now, history ain't everybody's strong suit. I get it. Memorization ain't everybody's strong suit. I get it. All right. Remembering dates. I get that. But we have to try. People have to try. You have to push yourself. It's no different. I'm not great at everything either, but I have to motivate myself. I have to push myself. It's just part of life. All right. So little things like that. President Trump has to appeal to all these sleepy Americans, the regular Americans, whatever you want to call them. He's got to appeal to them because the system has to move forward, and it just is not going to just stop one day like God parted the Red Sea, unless God does do that himself. But as far as people goes, it's not going to be a day where people just stop everything and part the Red Sea and go, all right, everybody just stop what you're doing. This is what we're doing. It's been doing that. That's why they call it a continuity of operations with the federal government. That's why they call it a military occupation with the military. So military occupation basically like sets that big boundary, sets that big border. All right. The federal government still has to do certain things within that continuity of operations. That's why it's so important, though. Even if you hate to read, even if you hate trying to look at hundreds of pages, at least go to the site, these .gov and .mil sites, and put your eyes on it just to see when someone like me is talking about it. Because I can guarantee you one thing, there's only, without it sounding like it's talking about myself, there's nobody else saying exactly what I'm saying with that much detail. Because it's so many pages. And everybody still wants a quick answer. And everybody ain't going to get that. All right. And then what it ends up doing is Donald John Trump, the military, and all these generals and all these people in these key spots are going to end up cleaning this out like the parents do. They're going to be like the parents, and the children just, y'all sit over here now. Y'all are old enough to do your own thing, but kind of deal like that. But since you guys are just wanting to be this way, we're going to do it for you in hopes that you're watching what's going on to pick up and take this forward in the future where we don't end up back here again. So that's the frustrating part, is the fact that the answers are all there. The Law War Manual, when Donald Trump was the first president walking in the forbidden city of China in 500 plus years, North Korea, the first president ever there, the Saudi Arabia crowning him, right? That was a sword ceremony, like a king ceremony. I mean, all these things. It's called a capitulation tour. That is found in the Law of War Manual. That's how you know it's a military occupation. Plus all the other orders that surround it. And once again, that could take me 7 hours to go from top to bottom. Which is what my book right here does do. It goes from top to bottom. It is the #1 seller on Amazon in its category for a reason. All right. And I'm blessed to get to put it all together, but this is all Donald John Trump and the military generals and all over the world generals and all over the world, all kinds of people who are participating in this. It's not just the military. Now, it needed the military to do it because Donald Trump would have been assassinated had he done all those things that he did without a military backing him, he wouldn't have made it. Because he was taking the biggest giant crap in the Wheaties of all your global elitists, your fascists, your socialists, and all these entities. So you do have to know a little history. You have to know about the Organic Act of 1871, the Organic Act of 1878. You have to know about the Federal Reserve 1913. You have to know a little bit of those entities. Then you have to listen to President Trump. He's the face of this. Why are you going to vote for him if you're not going to listen to him? That makes no sense whatsoever. Why? Why would you support someone if you don't even have a freaking clue what they're doing? It's that's the stuff that really gets you. Is that the fact that if it is someone who wants to know what's going on, but then they turn around and they do a 180 on you and say, well, nothing. Legislation. Everything that people gripe about, you're under legislation. You're under laws and orders. All right? Now, they're not all great, and they do need to be wiped out. I've said that from day one. There's a lot that don't support Marbury versus Madison, 1803. We had a founding father had to go into Supreme Court 14 years after the Constitution was enacted and argue, make a case of what a law looked like. So how in the heck you think it's going to look like this far down the road? All right, that's why people like me do stress over this. That's why it sounds kind of repetitious. But I'm building up to something that was beautiful that happened this week that everybody, once again, there's been about 3 things that's happened over the last 3 years that my post should have just absolutely gone insane with shares. And we've been seeing a lot of slack off. We're seeing a lot of people who aren't sharing anymore. We got 95,000 followers, but the shares are slacking off because people are getting fatigued because you're not prepared for war. You're not prepared for battle. All right? You claim to be a Trump supporter. You claim to be a conservative. You claim to be a Republican. You claim to be a patriot. And you know nothing about this nation. You know nothing about what Donald Trump's put into place. And it should be appreciated what he's done. Along with all these other men and women out there, it should be appreciated. So it is frustrating. It's frustrating. And then people say, well, why do you get so frustrated? Why do I get so frustrated because of what he's doing? Why not? If it were me in that spot, if God called me to be in that spot where he's at, I would want other people out there to know what's taking place, what's going on. It's not just doing this for nothing. Your paycheck ain't hurting for nothing, is it? If I'm not supposed to care, then the hell with your paycheck. How about that? How about that? What's that girl that was so famous on Dr. Phil? Catch me outside, how about that? Yeah. Made her a freaking millionaire over one little dumb little slogan. So how about we just say, well, the hell with your paycheck, and the hell with inflation, and the hell with taxes, and the hell with all that. Enjoy that. Then when you say that, and then you flip it back around, then you should see why someone like me would care, because I know this stuff like the back of my eyelids. It is a lot of information. It's a lot of pages that's been condensed down by this brain right here. But it's only going to help you. It's only going to help me. It's going to help us. If people would start sharing more and having a little spine back here and talk to your friends and family. But the only way they're going to listen to you is when you talk logical and you talk like you have a head on your shoulders. It's not going at them, well, you know, they stole that 2020 election. Da, 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 da. They didn't steal anything. That is all a rhetoric that has to be played out for those sleepy people. For the people who just love the Kardashians and who did she marry today? For those people. All right? If you claim to have a head on your shoulders, then you should want to know the laws and the orders and the legislation that's put into place that we ultimately control. They don't call them representatives for nothing. The root word, represent. So they're representatives. So who are they representing? If Congress is the final say-so and we're not the government, then why is the word representatives? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. So that's where we are. So when you hear, people out there whining, complaining, griping, all those things, well, some of them just are never going to be. You can lead a horse to the water, but you cannot make them drink. So it's the same thing. You can't make them think, right? And there's always going to be those voters who just go down to the poll and they're just as good as taking that little pen and filling that little dot in, and that's it. But there's a lot of people out there that are still all over Facebook, also on Twitter or X, whatever, True Social, and Telegram, all these and it's just all day drama. And I'm talking about podcasters now. I'm talking about people who claim to be 99% of them still are toting drama. All they're doing is filling your life full of frustration, riling you up, getting you all like, I had a message a while ago on my storyline that I put up which I'm going to bring the point up here in a minute. Got my little notes right here. But they were like, oh, he ought to be hung up and put in the If you think Joe Biden is real, at this point, in March 2024, if you think Joe Biden is real, quit. If you claim to be a patriot and you claim to be conservative, but especially a Donald Trump loving patriot, quit. Just quit. Just go to the lake, go to the beach, go hiking, go do something. Go to New York, go to Paris, go somewhere until November. It's that mentality and that attitude right there. Because you got things like TikTok. TikTok deletes me all the time. I had 35,000 followers, they delete. Well, what's funny is I can actually sue the ever-living life out of them if I wanted to. If that's just something I wanted to take out of my time and go pursue, I could find an attorney really quick and pursue that. Because I can prove loss of income, loss of sales, things of that nature. All right, they deleted all the hashtags. I had over 18 million hashtags with my name. They deleted those. I can prove that. I have screenshots, timestamped. There's a lot of things you got to be able to prove. I can prove that. But what's funny about something like TikTok is they're a company, someone created, someone established. But when they went public, they have these little things called bylaws and laws. They got to abide by federal laws, right? Communications, all right, FCCs, all right. So the hilarious thing about that is the fact that they have all these laws they have to comply by. And here I am over here telling laws and orders that have already been passed, put into place. And even if, and I'm not, because I wouldn't have all the people backing me, I wouldn't have all the people support me, but even if, though, let's just say I was wrong somewhere on a law or an order, something like that, it's still an interpretation. It was made public for me to be able to read and to acquire, put my hands on, put my eyes on, put my brain on, and for me to interpret it. So, little things like that. So all these companies and all these different entities, they have to abide by the law as well. So see, there's some key things right there that you can take into your little bread basket, to your nugget basket. Law and orders matter if two people are willing to comply by them. Whichever way, you can have a different opinion, ain't no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, it's who put them in place and what it's for. They'll have the ultimate say-so. And the ultimate say-so that everybody's watching right now, you cannot split the hair anymore. You just can't split it. It outlines a military occupation with the Law of War Manual, the capitulation tour, Donald Trump, all the places he went. All right, 2017, 2018, 2019. All right. Then when you look at the continuity directives, I mean, there's so much stuff, just like the most recent publication, December 2023. The most recent publication is all about Executive Order 13961, which is the Federal Mission Resilience Strategy by Donald John Trump. And the most recent, anything in the reference in the bottom of that, the most recent is a 2022 article, has nothing to do with Joe Biden. Nothing to do with him. If Joe Biden was president, See, this is where people can't separate. They hear you and they go, oh, he's from the South. He's got to be conservative. He's a Republican. He's this. Then they see that I'm a veteran and they go, oh, a veteran and conservative. And they can't separate the fact that I can separate. I could take my feelings and emotions and separate them. If Joe Biden was really president, I could show by laws and orders how he's president. But there's laws and orders in place that show he's not. All right? Are they rare? Yeah, depends on what you consider rare. That could be your opinion. But are they indifferent? Well, it depends on what you consider indifferent. Are they used all the time? No. So therefore, it sounds new to a lot of people. It sounds rare to a lot of people. It sounds indifferent to a lot of people because most people don't even know simple law as it sits. So when you hear that, naturally it does sound foreign, and naturally someone's going to go, oh my gosh, another conspiracy theorist. That's not a conspiracy. Laws and orders are not conspiracy. All right? And the way that someone becomes a wartime president, you have to know the definition of a wartime president. You have to know where those laws and orders are found. All right? So everybody knows that. That's watched me. So this is going to cut to another chase. So 11 executive orders with 11 national emergencies have all been extended. They've been extended 3 years in a row by Biden. All right. They have a 2-year clause. National emergencies have a 2-year clause on them that if they're not addressed with a joint resolution, they automatically terminate unless they're extended. All right. You can look that up in the War Powers Act. So you look up 50 U.S. Code Section 1621. You can read about that. All right. Why would Joe Biden extend 11 executive orders with 11 national emergencies? So I brought that up again because you hear me talk about it a lot, but I brought it up because I want to make sure that there was a person who asked a question this past week, and he asked, is it the 2-year clause on the executive order on the national emergency? It's on the national emergency. All right, so that's a great question. It's on the national emergency. All right, so those 11 executive orders have 11 national emergencies attached to them, which is why it's unprecedented for why would Joe Biden do that, especially 3 of them. 3 of them make no sense. Human rights abuse makes no sense when you know Joe Biden's history, especially as a senator and in VP, but especially as a senator. All right, and what he stood for his whole life. He didn't all of a sudden just flop over and start supporting the very things that will wipe out all kinds of trafficking. All right. Then it makes no sense that he would extend the executive order for election interference. Makes no sense whatsoever. And it definitely makes no sense, knowing his history with China, that he would extend the very order that blocks and freezes the assets of any company, organization, or anyone using funds to fund the Chinese Communist military. Makes no sense whatsoever. All right. So the other thing, I'm going to go backwards. I had it going the opposite way, but we'll do least to greatest. Let's see here. So Mulroney, right? So the guy dies this week. NAFTA. What's President Trump been talking about a lot in his speeches? NAFTA, how he ended NAFTA. All right, and he established the USMCA, Mexico-Canada agreement. All right, Canada, Mexico, in and out of the U.S. every single day, every single week, monthly. They've also been in and out of Israel. All right, so if you know anything about Joe Biden's past and history, yeah, and if you know anything about Canada, the Crown, it makes no sense whatsoever why these nations would be in and out of our nation if that was still going on. All right, we won't go deep in that. Rothschild, it's amazing that so many people, the haters out there, and the people who hate President Trump, boy, they were sure taken up for an evil man, weren't they? Wow, how do you take up for some evil people out there? It shows you when someone gets mad about someone like me calling out this or showing that, stay away from those people. They're showing their colors. If anybody says that we are ruthless for calling a spade, watch out for those people. They put a big giant red X on their forehead, exactly who they are and what they stand for. All right. So Rothschild, think about this. Now, that's pretty cool. I mean, if you want to look at it this way, but everybody who thinks Q is a conspiracy theory, well, you might want to go to Google and type in Q clearance. All right, Department of Energy. It's a equivalent to top secret clearance. All right, so it's a clearance. All right, go read about Q clearance. All right, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But if you back up 17 months from Rothschild dying, 17 months back, the Queen died. All right, and 17 months before her, Prince died. Right. So not Prince, not the singer, right? Not old Prince, not that Prince. All right, but 1776 days before the Queen died, guess what that was? Q's first post. All right, so you just can't make this stuff up. President Trump, everywhere that's been around him, has been the number 17, 17, 17, 17. We are well beyond. We're in the. I mean, I asked a buddy the other day what number he think we're in. We're probably in the millions by now of the number 17 that's popped up everywhere. So y'all can keep thinking whatever you want to think, but people like me are showing you how to think outside the box, but also find it. How do you find that? And then there's just, at some point, you can't call it a coincidence anymore. All right. Boeing. All right, Boeing shutting down facility. Why? Shutting down one of their main headquarters. All right. President Trump, this is why I tell people, if you're going to vote for the man, you might want to know what the man's doing. I mean, come on. Try just a little. When he was president-elect in December 2016, amazing. He said, we're going to restructure the deal with Boeing if there's even a deal at all. What does he fly around on? Rolls-Royce. All right. Boeing, ladies and gentlemen, there's articles all about Boeing, the E6, which we have a ton of E6s in the sky, which I'm also going to tie those in as well here shortly, but which is a form of a doomsday plane, nuclear commands. So it's all right in front of you. I mean, when people say, I'll believe Derek when I start seeing things enforced, you can't see things if you don't know the actual laws and orders in place. You can't see it because something happens daily. In 2021, there were over 2,000 CEOs who stepped down from their companies. All right, and more than that, those are like guys that you know, if you're anything around Fortune 500 and things of that nature, you probably had recognized the name a time or two. All right, unless you just absolutely aren't in business, you probably wouldn't. But for people who are, I mean, this stuff has, and the key with that, once again, Donald Trump's executive order, the key one that was funding the Chinese Communist military, it's so accurate that it says specifically it went into effect at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January the 11th, 2021. That's how detailed it was. All right. And then after that date, all these things started happening. Zuckerberg started dumping $25 million in stock every single day. I have that in the documents. That's still up. All right. It was on Yahoo Finance. You could look at that. He dumped $25 million every single day. Bezos stepped down from Amazon for philanthropy reasons. When I was doing my master's degree at Colorado State University, shout out Ramley, my Ramley out there, the Ram family. But when I was doing my master's out there, we studied Bezos. All right, he had an on-set goal to take down Walmart. Not take them down, but he wanted to be the world's billionaire. He wanted to take his formula that he used with Amazon and put it on Whole Foods Market. All right, so he wanted to be dominant in both sectors of how he did things logistically. So, yeah, so that's business stuff. So why would he be stepping down all of a sudden for philanthropy reasons? Just out of nowhere. Boom! Stepping down. Then Bill Gates and his wife announced a divorce, right? Then you had Warren Buffett leaving the Bill Gates Foundation. I mean, you had all these things happening. And people say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. You can't believe anything if you don't know what's in place. And that's why it's important. And if you don't want to read what's in place, then how do you know who to listen to? So we're in an age of discernment. My friends and I, we talk about that all the time. We're in an age of discernment. All right? People like Donald John Trump told you on the 2016 campaign, he said, never again will we voice to the public what's going on with our military, because if you find out, guess who else finds out? He said, I will earn your trust through your economy, because that's where the average American gets hit. That's where the average American does get stuck, is that right there. They get stuck on paycheck. So he said, I'll earn the trust of the American people by the economy, and then when I do that, they will appreciate and value what we're doing with our military. All right, because we don't need to tell the enemy when we're going to strike, which is what he was telling you. So everybody who writes and asks, look, once again, I have speculations and I know a lot of stuff of what they're doing, sure, but at the end of the day, every little mission, there's no way to know what's going on. There's certain kinds of aircraft we can look at, where they're flying to, what kind of formation, if they even show us at all. I mean, there's a lot of things we can look at, sure, but we're not going to know every little thing. And you don't need to know that. You're not in the need to know that. You need to know what you can know. And then find your nugget that will make you peaceful and happy with where you are and what you're doing wherever you are. And like President Trump says all the time, hey, if you can't afford anything, don't pay it. Like he says with the whole, like his donations and stuff. He said, look, if you can't afford it, don't do it. I don't need it. So it's the same thing with me. I tell people all the time, look, I had to do something to put the documents. I mean, this is a lot of information, but it's all chronological order. But had to do something, and these things don't print themselves, right? And I have people helping. It takes a lot of people to package, label, ship. I mean, this stuff just don't come together. But if you can't afford it, don't buy one. All right? So it's the same kind of thing. People earn trust. Every single one of you, and I'm deviating really quick and I'll come right back to my notes, but every single one of you have been in some form of relationship in your life, whether personal or business. All right? But especially if you have a personal relationship. If you're not someone who's single and ain't ready to mingle, we ain't talking about any of y'all that's sipping on tequila on Friday night, just happy and don't want a love life. We ain't talking about y'all. We talking about every single one of you that has a significant other. Every one of you, words do hurt, but actions speak louder than words, right? Every one of you know that. Why do we all hold each other to a standard, but yet when it comes to things like this, what's the difference, right? And I'm not knocking podcasters. There's a lot of good people out there, and there's certain things that people are skilled at, no doubt. But until people know the foundation of what they're standing on and the foundation that's been put into place, and until people see that those entities are what's driving this massive operation on both sides of the aisle, until people know that, there's not going to be a lot of peace. And the other thing is, there's not going to be a day, once again, where the sky just busts wide open and then all things are happy, hunky-dory and all these other things. It's not going to be like that. America's always been a fight. It will continue to be a fight. We have to fight for it. Luckily, where we are, I don't think we're going to have to get out in the streets like they did in other times in history. And not that long ago. That's the thing that gets me the most, is the Civil War wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't that long ago. America's not that old. All right? And we have so many people who act like it's like 4 trillion years old, the U.S., and it's not. It wasn't that long ago. People got out and they duked it out, or they did what they had to do to get somebody to listen. I don't think we're going to have to do that. thank goodness. But still, So listen to the man. The man tells you. He told you from day one. And he's outlined it. All right. Then, let's see. Let's go back to the Doomsday Plane. So the Doomsday Plane was in the sky today, and it flew from Nebraska to Washington, D.C. If you would have gone, and you still can do it, get on Google and look up articles from like 2020 and back. Go to like 2019, 2018, 2017, stuff like that, and type in Doomsday Plane 2020, Doomsday Plane 2019. They talked about the Doomsday Plane like it was so rare. There's articles showing rare and rare. It's up every day just about. And it's not just flying training. It flies occasionally. They'll fly to Ohio, back and forth to Nebraska. But it goes all the way up in the Great Lakes of Michigan. Shout out to everybody in Michigan and all up there where you're freezing your rear ends off. Thank you for enduring that, because I'm not. But, all over. It's flown over to Europe. It's flown different places. But it ain't flying. It ain't accompanying Air Force One like it's supposed to. It's not doing that. And every time Air Force One's in the sky, it don't have a presidential call sign on it, which brings me to my second point. Along with all the E6s and E4s in the sky, I have a buddy who was a contractor for the E4. We text all the time. Night before last, but wee hours of the morning, so it was really yesterday morning at 1 a.m. There wasn't a single aircraft at 1 a.m., not a single military aircraft on radar. That's rare. Very, very, very rare. All right? And there's a lot of movement going on. And you got to ignore people out there that say that the movement hadn't changed. You got to ignore that. Has nothing to do with anything. The movement that has nothing to do with that. Movement meaning how many aircraft are in the sky. All right? Has nothing to do with that. Look at the orders in place. The orders outline. 50 U.S. Code 1550. There's your order that made Donald Trump a wartime president for all the sleepy people out there. We were already in a military occupation and continuity of operations. But for all the sleepy people and all the normal people and all the regular people, they have to see law played out by law and in a progression, but in a timely manner. All right. So Section 1550. Biden has not made any such command whatsoever. He hasn't. And the president has to federalize National Guard. All right, for the National Guard, there's a National Guard aircraft in the sky a while ago. It was leaving Boise, Idaho, and it was somewhere over Colorado or somewhere. I have to go back and look at what state it was over. But it was not in Idaho anymore. It had done crossed over Utah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's not how the National Guard operate. All right, they have to be federalized by the president. They are for state emergencies, right? Or they serve a dual purpose, federalization or state emergencies. Last I checked, Colorado and Utah is not Idaho. So what is that National Guard aircraft doing out of its state? So when you hear some veteran out there, I know I get beat up by a few because I beat up veterans. I beat up veterans who are saying this ain't happening. I beat up veterans who are my brothers and sisters who say that it does not say that. It most certainly does say that. I beat up the ones who are lazy for you. Because I'm saying right now, if you're a veteran and you are saying that, you need to step up to the plate. This is your time to shine right here, especially if you are in the veteran status. This is your time to shine right now. This is your time. This is your oath beyond your service. This is your service beyond your service. It's your time to shine. Don't make yourself look dumb to your friends and family, because it ain't hurting me. I'm not over here laughing at you, but I'm also not over here taking up for you. This is your time to shine, baby, right now. This is your time. And you can still pick up March the 3rd, 2024, and act like you knew the whole time, and knowing you didn't, but you can still pick up, and you can be that pillar in your with your friends, your family, your neighborhood, whoever. You can be that pillar right now if you'll go read the very laws and orders that are separate from federal laws and orders that are in our military laws and orders that are in place. Because it is most certainly happening. It is most certainly happening. Especially after what just happened a couple days ago, which is what I'm about to bring the point to. But the National Guard are out of their states every single day, all day. The National Guard do not operate like that. The reserve components definitely do not operate like that. And it should fire everybody up in the good way, because you're watching world history take place. All right. Let's see. Also, I touched on it a while ago. I'll touch on it again. Just like Air Force 2. Air Force 1, every time it's in the sky, has no call sign. None. No SAM call sign whatsoever. Why? Air Force 2, the Air Force 2 they've been showing with Jill Biden and all them, no tail number whatsoever. How come? See, a lot of people don't realize that when they decommission, like Boeing, the deals that weren't made with Boeing and all these re-deals that have been being made, I mean, Sikorsky, there's a lot of different deals that have been made for UH-60s and all kinds of other aircraft that we're going to, and all kinds of other equipment that we're going to in a different kind of modern warfare fight. There's been deal after deal. You have to get on day after day and get on the defense pages and read about them. I mean, there's so many different things taking place. But when an aircraft or a piece of equipment in the military is what they call decommissioned, anybody can buy it. If you got the money, it's that old saying that Willie Nelson had a song, if you got the money, honey, I got the time. Well, if you got the money, honey, you can go buy one of those aircraft or one of those vehicles or a piece of equipment, as long as it don't have the same. They'll strip the functions down. And as long as you're not some brilliant engineer out there that knows how to rebuild it back and goes and puts the weapon system back on it and be an idiot, then you can own that. I pass a vehicle all the time in a yard, and I pass tanks all the time in yards, especially down south. There's a lot of LMTVs sitting up. There's a lot of different tanks sitting up. You can own it. If you got the money, you can get a hold of it. You can have one. So why is Air Force 2s, why are they, where's the tail number at? All right. Also, all the DOD aircraft, all the Department of Defense aircraft, there were 4 in the sky today. And probably more, because I don't check it all day, every day. I check it 4, 5, 6 times a day, sometimes 10, sometimes 15, depends on what's going on. But 4 SAM call signs today. Special Air Mission. Why are they all on Department of Defense aircraft? How come the SAM call sign is not on Air Force 1 or Air Force 2? Stuff that veterans should be able to answer, and a lot of them are not paying attention. And we got to have y'all step up to the plate. It ain't just me. I've got a lot more stepping up. I talked to a colonel not long ago, wants to get involved. There's a lot of people want to get involved. Now, he already knew what was going on. But, so a lot of people are stepping up, and we need more. But this one is the sweet one. You know that Dr. Pepper commercial? This sweet one. That one. This is the sweet one. So everybody that's watching, this should have been my most shared post when I put that up. 2 of them. It did get a lot of views on the Biden, quote unquote, the Biden press conference on Friday. And then the other post. All right, so Donald John Trump, the former president, according to all the sleepyheads out there, all right, Donald John Trump is in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is 55 miles from Del Rio, Texas, which is the most central casting, but the most active area of Texas for illegal crossings. And the news, mainstream news, lets you know that. They even tell you that where Biden was in Brownsville is not. All right, so that was your one big nugget. And I'm going to work it from little to big. All right. So they tell you that Donald John Trump is in Eagle Pass, Texas, 55 miles from Del Rio, Texas, which was the hot topic all throughout 2022. All right. He's in Del Rio, right? He's giving his speech. walking around looking at the. All right, and they tell you that Biden is in Brownsville, Texas. Well, how come Air Force One wasn't in Brownsville, Texas? How come it was two C-32s, which are Air Force Twos? All right, so there's a little thing. All right, then let me see. What did he say when he landed? What did Trump say when he landed? Let me go from least to greatest. He said, "Little situation down here, we'll take care of it. We're going to take care of it." Just real concise, straight to the point. Addressing the press? So he gets out of the vehicle, walks up to the camera, and he's addressing the press. Not, oh, I'm here to have a rally. I'm going to have a speech down here. No, this was official capacity. Getting out, Secret Service everywhere. Walks up to the camera like he used to do. Yeah, we're going to take care of it. Gets back in the vehicle. Gone to the border. Who was with him? Who was with Donald John Trump? The freaking governor of Texas was with Donald Trump. Not with Biden. And I don't want to hear some malarkey out there that, that the tension's high right now and Governor Abbott, he's a Republican and Biden, they don't see eye to eye. These people have been getting together. People have gotten together for years that didn't see eye to eye. They're still cordial. They still have to work together. What was Governor Abbott doing with Donald John Trump if he's a former president and not with Joe Biden, who was in Texas the same day? I'm just prepared. I'm just pretending to be quiet where I could just hear people crickets out there, and all the patriots that are in the crowd when I go to events and they're like, because he's still commander in chief, which is awesome. All the participation in the places I go to, patriots are awesome. And 1776 Nation and Rattletrap 1776 Nation, both pages were awesome, right? All of you in the comment box, all right? So then it gets even sweeter, right? The sweet one, right? I need to be on that Dr. Pepper commercial. Maybe they'll give me a slot on there. But let's just, we're about to read this. I'm going to read the official write-up over it. This right here should have made everybody and their mama, even if you were on the line with me, even if you were someone going, I don't know, I'm gonna wait and see if this one plays out. I'm gonna wait just to see just a little bit. Even if you're there, if that was you, that's okay as long as you're still here. But if that was you and you're like, I don't know about this Derek Johnson guy. I don't know. He came out of nowhere. He went viral and no. All I've done is shown .gov, .mil sites, laws and orders, and it's right in front of everybody. The ones who read it, they can't unread it. The ones who see it, they can't unsee it. The ones who know it can't unknow it. And everybody in those categories knows good and well what's taking place, because the ones who have read, they're like, man, this is freaking, this is mind-blowing. Because it's all right in front of everybody. And the thing that would have put the cherry on the cake for all of them happened just a few days ago. And if you're sitting on that fence and you're one of those going, well, I'm going to wait to see if things are enforced. Well, first off, they are being enforced. But if you're someone that was sitting on the fence, you should be over the fence now. You should be running through the field, right? You should be doing whatever it is that makes you you and what makes you happy. Because Donald Trump showed the whole world who was in charge. And all of you veterans out there, my fellow veterans, my fellow brothers and sisters, I know one thing, them haters got quiet. All the haters got real quiet. Because Donald Trump showed the whole world who was in charge just a few days ago. When he specifically told the whole freaking world that the operation was shown to me, ladies and gentlemen, it's a military operation taking place down here. when Joe Biden, fake Biden, when actor Joe, World War II history repeat of a puppet state, government in exile, it's a World War II type strategy with a slightly different variables. So for all the veterans out there that have told some people that I know that, well, it didn't look like this when I was in, it ain't supposed to. It's not supposed to. Quit living in 1965. Get out of that era. It ain't supposed to look like that. It's a different war. It's a different mission. It's a different operation. He told the whole freaking world it's a military operation. And then you have Joe Biden on Friday now telling the whole world, when the reporter says, how come you haven't addressed the thing on the border? He tells the whole world, because I don't have the authority. I don't have the authority. And then, just the day before though, see, guess who was standing right behind him? You know those headbands that everybody talks about now? When a few of us brought it up, those headbands on January the 20th, 2017, military intelligence and Judge Advocate General showing everybody what was about to take place? Well, guess who was standing behind Donald John Trump? The Adjutant General. It couldn't be any sweeter. Like, whatever in your lifetime, I'm sorry for all you Amish people or whatever, y'all that don't believe in Christmas, whatever, which if you're Amish, you're probably not watching TV or video. But whoever, Jehovah Witness, all y'all, God love you. If you're a patriot, God love you. But all of you who don't believe in Christmas, sit this one out. But whatever was your greatest Christmas ever in your life, where you just absolutely, that one Christmas gave it, that was it. It was like, woo! Oh man. And whatever gift that was, or whatever it was, or maybe you're sentimental, like myself, and it was a family member or something, and it was the last Christmas or something. Whatever that moment was in your life, right? That Adjutant General standing with Donald John Trump and the governor of Texas, that should have told the whole world right there. And then he specifically says on TV, it's a military operation. So he says a military operation in Del Rio, Texas, the most talked about area, the most trafficked area, the most everything. You got the governor of Texas who told basically the Texas Guard, not just the National Guard now, the Texas Guard. Right here, baby. The Texas Guard put a flag on their headquarters. Come and take it. Told the Federal Border Patrol, if you get near the border, we'll take you out too. And you got Joe Biden telling you on Friday, right there on the lawn, for all you up there who thinks he's real, all you out there, he told the whole world, I don't have the authority. Donald Trump just told everybody the day before on international TV, with the governor of Texas and the Adjutant General standing right behind him in a regulation uniform. Every single uniform around Joe Biden has been a non-regulation uniform or mismatched. The other day they had the freaking Navy with the Marine Corps again. It's been Coast Guard with the Marine Corps. I mean, it's stuff that blows your mind that my fellow brothers and sisters out there just can't see it. How? It blows your freaking mind. But staying away from negativity, get back to the Adjutant General. Let's read the Adjutant General. Let's just read about the Adjutant General. In the United States, there are three definitions of this term. The Chief Administrative Officer of the United States Army, who is subordinated to the Army Chief of Staff and works directly for the Assistant Chief of Staff, G1 or ACS G1, parentheses, formerly known as the Deputy Chief of Staff, personnel. Formerly a Major General position. As of 1984, it is a Brigadier General billet.
This officer is the head of the Adjutants General Corps and is responsible for the procedures affecting awards and decorations as well as casualty operations and for the administration and preservation of records of all Army personnel. 2. The Chief Administrative Officer of a military unit, such as a division, a corps, or army. This officer is normally subordinated to the unit chief of staff and is known as the G1. Although they are called the adjutant general, they are almost never a general officer, and the general part is likely referencing the G in G1 standing for general staff. 3. The senior military officer of a state's, commonwealth's, or territory's military forces, including the National Guard, Army National Guard, and Air National Guard, the Naval Militia, and any state defense forces. This officer is known as the AG or the TAG and reports to the state's executive, the state's chief executive, when the National Guard is not in a federalized status under Title 10. That's saying, now listen to that, it says reports to the state's chief executive, the governor, when the National Guard is not in federalized status. So, what's Donald Trump doing there with the Adjutant General? It'd be different if the Adjutant General was standing there with the governor and no Donald John Trump. So you got to read that again. Listen carefully. This officer is known as the AG, Adjutant General, or the TAG, and reports to the state's chief executive, the governor, when the National Guard is not in federalized status under Title 10. 50 U.S. Code Section 1550 is in the War Powers Act of 1973. The War Powers Act of 1973 is actually 50 United States Code Chapter 33. Section 1550. That accompanies with the Title 10. All right? In that very section 1550, which was established December the 20th, 2019, here comes repetition again. December the 20th, 2019, what all happened that day? The Uniform Code of Military Justice was overhauled, first time since 1950, since its establishment, called the Uniform Code of Military Justice. There was military law before that, but they called it the Uniform Code of Military Justice, 1950. The Global Fragility Act was passed that day. Because the UCMJ was overhauled with new laws and orders, that also required a courts-martial handbook reissued, which was also reissued that day. And then this was put into place. And then the Space Force was established. All of those happened on December the 20th, 2019. And inside that 50 U.S. Code, Section 1550, it specifically says what? It says in the first 6 months, these things are supposed to happen. And it says it. What are we going to read it again? I can pull it really fast because this is so important that people read this. It blows my mind. Repetition. Here we go. Let's just read it. Not later than 180 days after December the 20th, 2019, and every 180 days thereafter, the President shall submit to the Congressional Defense Committees, the Committee on Foreign Relations of the Senate, and the Committee on Foreign Affairs of the House of Representatives a report on actions taken. And it's talking about the use of what? Military regular forces and irregular forces. Ladies and gentlemen, in that first 180 days, Donald Trump federalized 1 million reserve components to active duty with Title 10. And what did it just say? The officer is known as the Adjutant General and reports to the state's chief executive, aka the governor, when the National Guard is not in federalized status under Title 10. So it's saying that that general would report to the governor when not under federalization. So what is Donald John Trump? The first time we've seen the Adjutant General of Texas, what is the Adjutant General doing there with the governor of Texas and Donald John Trump? I should just hit the end button right there, but I'm not going to do that because I just want to just keep saying that over and over and over again. Because that right there should have been that alone should have just there's 95,000 followers on 1776 Nation. We have 100 and let's see, I think it's like 116 shares. How? That is why people still watch mainstream news. That is why people will remain to look the way they look. That is why it's going to be so hard to sustain all this when it's all said and done. It's going to be hard to sustain it. The corporation is going to be cleaned out. A lot of different things are going to be cleaned out. All these different people are beginning taken out. But we're going to struggle with people because people will whine, complain, gripe, fuss, moan, bicker, argue, debate, all those things. They love drama. They love, oh boy, do people love drama. But they don't, and they want a short answer. And there's just no way to short answer any of this stuff. And the very people who claim to support Donald Trump, a lot of these people, I've seen quote unquote Trump supporters now, and people that I know follow these people. I say follow them, they're friends on Facebook. And they'll say stuff on their Facebook like, oh, here's another person saying that Trump's still president. A conservative now, a Republican. But, oh, we got to get him back in 2024. I mean, these same people are voting for a man who's abiding by all the laws and orders, and they don't even know that the laws and orders in place make him still president. I mean, it blows your mind. It truly baffles your mind. So for all the people who are awake on 1776 Nation and Rattletrap 1776 and all the pages, it blows your mind on it. It just makes your IQ feel like it just fell. And just, I mean, it really does make my head hurt to think like that. That someone could be such a loved Donald Trump, but they don't even know that the laws and orders in place by him still make him in charge. And these people call me a conspiracy theorist and you a conspiracy theorist. And we're talking laws and orders. And the most beautiful thing that could have ever happened just took place on Thursday in Southwest Texas. I mean, if there was anything that someone said, show me a short answer, if there was ever just a short answer, that would have been it. Like, there it is right there. The Adjutant General standing there with Donald. First time we've seen the Adjutant General of Texas, and who's with Donald John Trump and Governor, the Chief State Executive, and Donald Trump, all in the same visual, all in the same frame, tells you this is a military operation. And he told you way back in Miami, everybody focus on all these court cases, they're still lost as well. If you're still getting frustrated and upset and you're one of those, oh, they're doing him in, you're missing the point of all this. I made this point last night to somebody, and it hit them so hard that it struck that chord, and they're like, oh my gosh. I said, Donald Trump is not fatigued. He don't look sad. He don't look beaten. He ain't worn and torn. Ladies and gentlemen, he has to play a role with that. But think about this. Jesus Christ himself, if you're a Christian, Jesus Christ himself prayed to God the Father to let this cup pass from me. But he still took the insults. He still took the spitting, the abuse, the ridicule, the mockery, the hatred, the thorns, He still took the weight of the cross and went to the cross. If you don't believe in that, then step away right now. But for all of you Christians out there, Jesus Christ prayed to God the Father to let this cup pass from me. But he still took it. Donald Trump, as a president, he don't need money. He don't need money. He don't need people's money. He don't need any kind. He didn't need the presidency for anything except for exactly what a president's supposed to do. Do everything he said he's going to do. You ever notice the Merle Haggard song, all you country music fans out there? Have you ever noticed that Merle Haggard's song finally came true? Called Rainbow Stew? When the president goes through the White House doors and does what he says he'll do, we'll all be drinking free bubble up and eating that rainbow stew. I guess we better start drinking that free bubble up and eating rainbow stew because Donald Trump's the very first president to walk through. He didn't need money. He didn't need anything. He didn't need status. He already had it. Sure, you're going to have one or two argue out there that being president, you're the most popular man in the world, whatever. He was already popular, had all the money. Think about it. When that man submits himself and he says that I stand between, I'm in between them and you, think about it. Now, I'm not saying he's comparing himself to Christ. It's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying, though, is when he is willing to take what he's taken, knowing what's back here in the back line, everything's been documented. Everything. This military occupation, the Presidential Emergency Action Documents, PEDS, which would have extended his power as president, all the laws and orders in place and the military operation, all that's documented with multiple men and women on both sides of the aisle. It can't just take place with one party, ladies and gentlemen. So all that's documented. But everything he's doing and the clean out of what they're doing, by him taking that, the only thing you could hope for is that they say, yep, the president does not have immunity. Because when they say that, if he doesn't have immunity, if they play it that way, then guess what? That opens up every single president from years past. For what? Investigations. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a bunch of different operations playing out here. They're cleaning out the deep state on all levels, which heavily in the judicial for sure. Because when you give someone power, badges are the biggest power out there. Any kind of title, like a judge, especially all the way up to the Supreme Court, any kind of judge, any kind of law enforcement, when you give them I won't tell who told me that, but I had a family member used to tell me all the time, said, when you give a man a badge, he thinks he's God. Now, that ain't all of them, but there's a few out there. They walk around that chest a little bit pumped up, and now, well, I'll tell you what, I know other people out there probably would vouch for this. Is 100% of game wardens. Maybe 99%. But, man, you talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you trust the man, then you got to trust the plan. But you can't trust the plan if you don't trust the man, and you can't trust the plan if you don't know the plan. And it's all laid out for you. Donald Trump and the military, everything has been laid out on both sides. Federal government, it's bipartisan. It's all bipartisan. That 50 U.S. Code Section 1550 was not in there until Donald Trump put it there. And guess who put it there? Congress put that there. Donald Trump didn't do that himself. He didn't, let's go over here and do that. No, Congress did that. That's why that's so important. That's why that order is so important. That is the order. The 10 U.S. Code. 10 U.S. Code, Section 12302, 12304. Those are the very orders where the president utilizes the reserve components. Now, they did finally add Joe Biden's reserve clause under there, but the reserves were already federalized. His order is a continuation. His order was adding to that 1 million. You got to do some math there, and that's not Alabama math, sorry. But Donald Trump federalized 1 million on March 27, 2020. Just because that was 2020 don't mean a thing. I've heard people go, well, that was 2020. It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean a thing. We were still under military occupation already. And then the 1550, it's an order. All right, till they're revised, revoked, rescinded, and all those national emergencies are terminated, they're still live and active. That's why that matters. That's why repetition matters. So that 1 million reserves, the 3,000 that Biden's executive order from July of last year does, it was 3,000 reserves going to Europe. That's 3,000 of this 1 million back here. It's a continuity. That's why it's so important to understand the continuity. The most recent continuity of operations, December 2023, Donald Trump's executive order. Not a single thing. There has not been one single law by Joe Biden from 2021 to the most recent publication, December 2023. Not a single anything by Joe Biden in a continuity of operation publication. Why? If he's president, why? How come he can't revoke Executive Order 13823, Guantanamo Bay? He campaigned half of 2020. He's going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, pen and paper. Even if Congress wouldn't shut it down, he could still revoke the order. How come he ain't done it? Everything that Joe Biden has done for the people who think he's real, he's stripped a lot of the key components of the border. All right. They did that for a reason, because that's part of the clean out and operation. The other stuff are continuities of Donald John Trump's. And it would take, once again, 3 or 4 videos to break all those down, which I've done it throughout time. But there's just a few layers of what's going on. And once you pick up on those layers, then you can look at the news. Then you can still look at the news, but then you can go, oh, that's executive order this. Oh, that's this act here. Oh, that's this. Oh, did you hear Donald Trump say for the trillionth time central casting? I mean, but you can't know that until you know this way back here. So it's like you got to set your foundation. You got to have your little nuggets and what builds that visual. You got to have that, what builds that for you. So this past week was, it was a big moment for everybody. Because Donald Trump said 5 months ago to the T, Donald John Trump said, in less than 5 months, we're taking back our nation. We're going to take back our nation from Joe Biden. That was 5 months ago, which leads right to this very moment. And the Adjutant General is standing right behind Donald John Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, it can't get any more clear than that. I mean, it just can't get any more clear. And one day when you're old and gray, or if you're already old and gray, you need to record your own video for your grandchildren's sake. Take your phone or have someone record you and tell them you lived through the most greatest moment in operation in world history, and you witnessed it, because you're living right through it right now. It's nothing new. There's a lot of new missions involved. There's a lot of new operations and strategies, but this is all World War II. A lot of World War II laws and orders and past laws and orders put in place, military occupation, continuity of operations, and Donald John Trump as a wartime president using PEDS to extend his power. And then he just stood there on international TV, national TV, and told the whole world, with the governor of Texas, the Adjutant General, at the 5-month period, and all his other speeches outline what's to come. You can't get any more exciting than that. So I'm going to sign off of here. Love everybody. Books are still coming in. You can still get my book on Amazon for international purposes. If you want it signed, we went ahead and got out all the books that we could, because we were getting so many emails of people ordering that did not see any of my posts, because some people have shared this with other people.
So I do realize not everybody sees my post now. And so we did get a bunch out that didn't get signed just because there were so many orders coming in, and we want to fulfill those as fast as we can. I did promise to sign the first 3,000. I signed the first 8,000. All right, but ordered some more, and I'm gonna get back on top. If you order through me on rattletrap1776.com, since I'm called up now, I'll sign all those still. All right. For those that didn't get a signature, I travel a lot. If you see me somewhere, come on by. I'll sign it for you. Then also, it's on Amazon Kindle. All right, for those who like phone and iPad, and I forget all the other ways you can look at it, whatever it is. And then for international, we went ahead and put it on Amazon for that reason, because what we use, the platform we use, is not fun at all for international shipping. So Amazon's costs are a little higher. Unfortunately, Amazon's print costs and their package, they don't tell you the packaging and all that, but their print costs and their shipping costs are pretty expensive. I've seen the breakdown. All right, but a lot of that they're adding to, and they're not going to tell you what that is naturally. But I know, being a business person, I know that there's warehouse and there's all kinds of other stuff in that. But if you want the book, it is the #1 seller on Amazon in its category, which is cool. When you buy the book, read it first. Leave a comment, because we did have a lot of haters and trolls come on there, and make sure on Goodreads as well. Amazon did shut it down to where people can, who only buy it, can comment. But on Goodreads, if you could go over there, leave it a good review. We got to fight all these fascists and socialists and communists. We're in a war. We got to fight them. All right, and that's the way you fight them. All right, if you go over there and you leave as many positive comments as you can, but read it first. Also, I don't know how many times I got to go over it, but I'll go over it again, which is fine. I have 1776 Nation, this page, all right, and then I have a backup, Rattletrap 1776 Nation. I have a music page on Facebook. It's at Derek Johnson Country, all together. No spaces, underscores, periods, or anything. No numbers. All right. There's a lot of fake accounts. And then I get the blame and the hate out there because you get people saying I message and say, I don't do that. I'll answer your messages. I don't message out of the blue. All right. Especially about QFS and all these other things. Gold and XRPs, XRM, XLN, all that stuff. I don't do any of that. All right. I talk about it on shows, if brought up about it, and if there's something that ties in, I talk about it a little bit. But I don't talk about how to buy it, where to buy it, and that stuff. I don't do that. All right, so you got to be really careful. Telegram. I do have 2 Telegrams. I have a backup. I have my Rattletrap 1776, and then I have a backup, Rattletrap Nation, just in case. All right, you got to be careful. They'll put an extra T in there. The font is so little on Telegram that you got to be careful with that. Let me see. I'm getting a but it got a little T. They'll add an extra T in there, and it'll be 3 T's, and it looks like 2. You got to be careful. But my Telegram, I think it's up to about 158,000. So it's all normally the big. But there's a fake one. There's a fake account on Telegram with 70,000 followers. That's 70,000 people who are being misled and also probably being messaged something and probably supporting. There ain't no telling who those people are supporting with monetary supplements. It's unbelievable. And I've said it over and over and over, and I'll even do it like this. Like I'll get the piece of paper here. Let me just do it right here. I'm going to do this for everybody, like my Telegram. I'll write it down. Here I am writing. All right. Telegram is at Rattletrap 1776. Just like that. And that's not a space in between the P and the 1. It's ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's not that difficult. True Social is at Derek Johnson, DerekJohnson. No spaces, no underscores, no periods. My Instagram. I have one Instagram. All right. I try to keep it music related because I don't want it deleted. I've had it a while and I've got a lot of pictures up there. My Instagram is just like that. No underscores, no periods, no dots, no numbers. Dear Johnson Country. All right. And just because some of the one thing that does, but they do it, but they take my mom's photos and my dad. Look, ladies and gentlemen, if I made it public, I got a picture of me out there with a shirt off. If I made it public, good luck trying to embarrass me. All right, that's how dumb people are. All right, but my Instagram has a lot of my personal photos up, and that's fine. I posted them there. They're not personal from that angle, but that's my page. X, which is formerly known as Twitter. It's the same handle as that right there on X. Rattletrap 1776. Also on Rumble. I only have one Rumble account. It's at Rattletrap 1776. And there are so many. I'm like President Trump, there's so many. There's so many fake accounts. I do have a personal Facebook page, and I see an email every day that 5 friends have reported my profile being a fake account. And I'm like, I have gone live on my personal account. I can't even hardly have a personal account. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this video, all right, I'm showing you what my accounts are. And on Facebook, 1776 Nation. There's only one of us. All right. There's been a lot of copycats out there. Don't fall for it. If I make a new page, you'll know about it. Trust me. You'll know about it. All right. So, once again, I appreciate the love and the support, and I'm here with you. We're going through. I do see all your messages. My social media girl, shout out Felicia. She was texting me a while ago and showing me something, but we get all your messages. She does check them just in case there's something urgent or someone says something urgent. Sometimes people do that on purpose and it ain't urgent. But I do see all your messages. We are getting to them one by one. I do have a public email out there for people with the book and all. But we get thousands and thousands and thousands of messages on all of them. So you got to be a little patient. Like the book situation. We self-publish the book, so it's a pre-order option. Self-publishing means that when you pre-order, you're not going to get it. Even if you pay for the best shipping in the world, you're not going to get it until that label gets made. And we've told everybody, I self-publish for a reason. All right? I self-publish. You're not going to get it in 2 or 3 weeks' time, more than likely. Now, we've caught up now, and we're getting them out a little bit quicker than what we did, but the people who ordered first, thank you so much. You guys are the ones that had to wait the most. But we had to reach a goal. We hit the goal. But then we just kept, it was just, and it's still pummeling like that, which is great. But once again, it's 2 of us. All right, 2 people. 2 people doing ordering the books, getting the books in. You got to open the box. Got to lay the books out. Then I sign them. All right, that takes, you talking about Delirious and hand. Then someone stacking them. Then someone rolls them down the hallway. They go in a little place. If you ordered a shirt with the book, that's even more difficult, which we're handling it. But once again, little packages. You got to buy the packages, get the packages in. The post office looks at us like we're crazy. They don't want to supply the packages. We're like, that's your job. They don't want to do it. Why? Because President Trump hammered them. All right, the executive order about the post office, they're getting hammered. They're having to go through a restructuring period in their life too. All right, so I order stuff, other shipping. So it's a process, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you hanging with it, but you got to be a little bit more patient out there with us because we're a small entity. So make sure you're following the right pages. And also for Donald Trump's sake, I hate calling him that because it sounds disrespectful for me. But Commander-in-Chief Trump, he told every single supporter of his, he told every American to get on True Social, follow him,
there's still so many people who don't even know that's really him on Truth Social updating people. Get on Truth Social, create an account, and follow your president. And I'll close with that. So we'll see y'all soon. I'll see you this week. We'll see what happens all this week. But March the 4th, tomorrow is the original inauguration date in presidential history. All right, so a lot of stuff is rolling out this past week and this week. There's a lot. I mean, we're on a. If there's ever a time you want to hit the button like the movie Click and fast forward to November, I'm sure everybody would sacrifice this year to hit that button. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process. You know, you just gotta. We all were put here at this point in time in history, and we got to find the positive out of every single moment, every single day of it. So enjoy what little bit you can. Sure, we're all suffering. Sure, we're going through some pain, some hiccups, some headaches, and everything. But we're all doing it together. All right. So we can either complain about it or we can find the positive about it. And there ain't nothing to be down about, baby. We got this. We got this. All the evil are being rooted out, they're being pushed out, and they're being on the forefront. All right? So people can either walk across the line and quit all the crap they were doing and change, or they can be called out and there's punishment for that. So enjoy the ride. November's the final battle. Your man's already said that, and I'm just taking the torch for him. So we'll see y'all soon.